Good day. We will be presenting the Quezon City, the Awakened City, and the No Longer City of Dreams Higher Education 2050 Scenarios, inclusive, innovative, and equitable education that will equip the learners with lifelong skills and literacy by Estoquia and Viloria. So, what exactly is the higher education present scenario currently? The education sector is facing the drastic impacts of the pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic that started in March 2020, and up to now, there still has been no face to face classes. Imagine almost 2 years of no face to face classes. There has been the disruption of physical classes and the challenge of the new normal. Accompanied by this is, of course, the ever deteriorating mental health of the students, the different implications of COVID 19 to each family and to each student and to each teacher, and how we view higher education as something that should be considered more inclusive and more equitable. What are the current initiatives happening? So, first, we have the institutionalization of the Quezon City Education Affairs Unit, on which the Education Affairs Unit is mandated by the Executive Order Number 6, Series of 2019, serves as the city mayor's arm in implementing the city's education policies, plans, programs, projects, and services to ensure the delivery of quality education at all levels. The services is to monitor and to coordinate education-related policies, to gather baseline data on the city's state of education, to recommend evidence and performance-based programs wherein appropriations are driven by expected learning outcomes, to initiate strategic partnerships with various stakeholders and engage them to participate in educational programs of the city, and to execute and implement instructions of the city mayor and to advise the city mayor on education-related policies. There has also been creation of different and multi-trees of webinar series for stakeholders of education. There are also incentives for graduating students, scholarships and learning hubs, and the education commitments and actions, Mayor's Education Summit, on which the Quezon City government, through the Education Affairs Unit, conducted the Education, a venue for education stakeholders to present innovations. Exactly how are we going to move forward? Do we prepare, ideate, consult, and we implement? Because illiteracy is literally right in front of our faces, what is just highlighted during the COVID-19 pandemic, and privilege is very rampant. It is under these circumstances that we must spend money in education. Here we have our four future scenarios. The first one is stuck in the same old way on which universities in the city do not co-innovate with the local government units to advance the best scenarios for Quezon City education futures. This is the present scenario on which universities and colleges simply aim to create researches and data within themselves and for themselves. The next one is moving to greater heights. It's on which innovative and inclusive higher education plans of the national government are successfully embedded on the education plans of the Quezon City local government unit. Here we have a bit of future thinking foresight, engaged foresight happening. And for the next one, try and try until we succeed. It's on which universities in the city co-innovate with the local government unit to advance the best scenarios for Quezon City education futures. It's our preferred future on which there is high collaboration. The higher the collaboration, the higher the innovation, and the higher the innovation, the more that education prospers throughout the years. And of course, our last is it's going downhill from here. Education plans of both the national government and the Quezon City local government unit are not well aligned and fails to be executed because their lack of futures thinking and engaged foresights in their policies, in their institutions, in their laws and their regulations in education. With these overview of the four future scenarios, we will further delve into this in the next slides and in the next topic.
The first possible scenario for Quezon City's higher education is a scenario called stuck in same old ways. This is a scenario where the education plans of the national government is successfully embedded in the education plans of the Quezon City LGU. Unfortunately, in this scenario, universities in the city do not co-innovate, which can make the efforts of the local and national government futile. This scenario will result in a stagnant education system because there will be no room for collaboration, and since innovation is also limited and not coordinated in different universities, the learning and teaching methods will be outdated and inflexible. The second scenario is called It's Going Downhill, and it was called as such because it is the worst case scenario. This situation is the worst case because the plans of the national government and the local government of Quezon City do not match with each other. To make it even worse, this is also a scenario where universities do not co-innovate, so there is no room for improvement in the education system and there is no knowledge co-creation. This scenario will lead to low enrollment rate, college dropout cases, job mismatch, and later on, it may even cause unemployment for the students. The third case scenario is a mixed situation of positive and negative factors. The positive factor is the fact that universities co-innovate and advance the best case for the future of Quezon City higher education. However, despite this factor, the negative side is that the national plans for education is not aligned with the plans of the local government. With this scenario is called try until we succeed because it still offers room for improvement, especially if the implementation plans are recalibrated and action plans undergo development process. Meanwhile, the last scenario is called moving to greater heights because it is the best case scenario, where the plans of both the local and national government are aligned with each other, and to make it even better, the universities are collaborating to actualize education plans into various innovative projects. This scenario also produces great outcomes such as effective learning environment, futuristic education, and inclusive learning spaces. And that ends our presentation on the possible scenarios for Quezon City's Higher Education 2050. Thank you very much.